We need your support, but we have got
now
on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app.
O'Connor and Company.
8:37 now on O'Connor and Company, a busy Thursday morning. Larry O'Connor with Mercedes Shop. And look who it is, Mercedes. We love this guy. He's a great guy. He's one of the decent human beings in this town.
Yes.
Which you can't always use that word
He's
for
one of
a
the good
journalist.
That what?
You can't always use that word when describing a journalist.
No, especially in the swamp. But he's one of the good swamp creatures.
He is the one and only Byron York, chief political correspondent at the Washington Examiner, and author of the book Obsessed, which, frankly, you don't even have to update it, Byron. You can just reprint it for the 2024 edition. Thanks for joining us.
They're still obsessed. And, I think I'll put decent human being on my Twitter bio.
Ooh, I like
that.
that.
There you go. Just don't
it's
attribute it to me because, All right, so you've been all over this. I have as well. I couldn't believe she said it. Here's Nikki Haley 2 days ago on Fox News. Listen.
Every person on social media should be verified by their name. That's, first of all, it's a national security threat. When you do that, all of a sudden people have to stand by what they say.
Yeah, and she went on to say, she claimed that Russian bots and Iranian bots and Chinese bots anonymously are a national security threat. Fine, go after them. But then she went on to say, Byron, that if you put your name on it, then anything you say, your pastor can see it, your spouse can see it, your children can see it, and it'll bring decency back to social media. Basically saying, and she said, first thing I'll do as president, we'll do this, which suggests the force of government would be behind this, I guess ostensibly an act, a government act. Well, you have been really trying to drill down with the campaign about what's behind this and what she really stands for. And it appears you have elicited from the campaign a bit of a reversal on this.
Yeah, Nikki Haley's done kind of a full, what they call climb down in Britain. When I first heard about this on Tuesday, I sent a note it was very concerning, what she said. And by the way, she advocated the U.S. government, mandating the exposure of every anonymous poster on social media in America. She mandated that not only for national security reasons, but to bring about civility. And you think, wow, that is a disastrously bad idea. So I sent him a note and saying, is there anything more you'd like to say about this? What would you say to people who are concerned about privacy and freedom of speech? And basically, they send back, this is Tuesday evening, they send back a note just doubling down, saying, she wants to go after these bots, and that's a no-brainer. Okay. So I published that. And then yesterday morning on CNBC, she kind of began to back down a little bit. And then by the afternoon, she had done the full climb down and said that everybody has a right to, publish anonymously, including on social media. Because a lot of people had pointed out, that the Federalist Papers were written anonymously.
Thank you.
That, Madison, Hamilton, and Jay had written together as Publius. And that there's been a lot of communication in our history that was done anonymously, and these issues have come. Freedom of speech, freedom of anonymous speech has come up before the courts in the past, and they've defended it. So this was a really, really bad idea that she's backed away from.
It's interesting, Byron, because you know how this works in presidential campaigns. You have normally your campaign policy advisors come in. They explain to you, this is a type of policy we want to talk about today. And she really did jump into this in a way that it's almost like, I don't understand if she understood what her policy people were telling her, because I think it caught all of us by shock. She's been on a more of a winning streak, I would say, generally speaking, for second place. Did well in the debate. Obviously is known as a neocon. But at the same time, this really was eye-opening, because it just takes us back to following 9/11 and moving forward with the Surveillance Act, and there was this is like the fear of so many Americans. What do you think?
Yeah, it was interesting. I went back and I watched she said this originally Tuesday on Fox News, and it was a program where they had 6 audience members, 6 voters they had chosen to ask Nikki Haley questions. And the question was, is there a limit? And speaking to Nikki Haley, is there a limit, in your opinion, to free speech? We all know we can't go into an airport and shout bomb, and yet right now you can chant on college campuses to kill all the Jews. What are the limits when it threatens the safety of a group of people or incites violence against them? Okay, so that's the question. And the answer is, obviously, threats of violence, violent speech is not protected. Yeah. But lots of speech that you might find abhorrent or you might agree with is protected. But she didn't go there. She basically, it was very odd. She said, if you look at the social media, the misinformation in social media is being pushed by Russia, China, Iran, and North Korea. And so that's what she wants to go after. And I think Larry just said that earlier. Fine, go after the bots. Go after the North Korean bots. But do not mandate the exposure of every single person posting on social media in America.
Leave Cat Turd 2 alone, for crying out loud.
There you go.
Byron, real fast, new polling. You've been tracking all the polls here with regard to the presidential election. We're basically a year away, and things do not look good for Team Biden here, and things look really pretty rosy for Donald Trump. In fact, he's hitting that 50% mark already.
He is, and we're seeing a lot more polling, and I think it was when we passed the 1 year to the election mark. We've been seeing a lot more Biden versus Trump polling, or Biden versus Trump versus RFK versus Dean Phillips versus Marianne Phillips. Yeah. And what you're seeing, Tom Bevan at Real Clear Politics just said this morning that there have been 6 new national polls in the last 72 hours, and 5 of them have shown Trump leading Biden. Now, you have to put all the caveats here. It's a year ahead.
Yes.
Polls do not predict what is going to happen a year from now or even a week from now, but they do give you this picture of what's happening right now or what was happening in the last few days when the poll was taken. So, I think there's no doubt that the Trump-Biden race has been focusing maybe in people's minds, and you're seeing more and more people move toward Trump. My theory is that the war in the Middle East, on top of the war in Ukraine, on top of the terrible U.S. evacuation of Afghanistan, on top of inflation, on top of the border, it just seemed to be one more thing showing the world kind of falling apart since Joe Biden became president. And,
especially in contrast to where we were before he became president. And
that's Donald Trump's campaign is things were good when I was president. Things are bad when Biden is president. Yeah. Elect me and I'll make things good again. That's the whole campaign.
There you go.
Well, you miss Make America Great Again. That's it. It's all in the
just
motto.
Don't get in the way of that message. Yeah. All right. Byron York, Washington Examiner, and decent human being. Thanks for joining us, Byron.
Yay.
Thank you, folks.